Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Okay, so let's talk about this whole Emma, Geo, and Jocelyn scene. Because for a while, I've been wondering what has been Emma's deal with Jocelyn. And I remember people in the chat listening to this saying it started when they were kids or whatever, and they both liked the same guy. And I was just like, okay, but they were kids. That's stupid, right? Like, okay. But she explains it a lot more better after Jocelyn, when she sees them, she thanks them for standing out for the family crypt and everything. And this really comes down to a couple of things. But the main thing is the whole Cam, right? Her and Cam were really close. Jocelyn, as you know, treated Cam, you guessed it, like a goddamn toilet seat, right? So she was pissed off about that. And she did realize, because that's why I was like, okay, now I'm kind of starting to understand. But now she's starting to realize since Cam has moved past that, she needs to start doing that as well. But at least I understood why she was so upset with her. And she does get into the whole, oh, she thinks that she's entitled and she can always buy her way out of situations. And I'm kind of just like, all right, see, you had me up until that point. Jocelyn, for all her, for the things I don't like about her at times, she's never really came across as entitled, right? She's never really came across as entitled or bought her way out of situations. I don't remember any time that she had to sit there and buy her way out of a situation. Now, she did make a comment as far as, I think Gio was there talking about how she did donate to whatever cause that she was doing, some sort of animal cause or whatever, and she was like, oh, well, that's her whole thing, she just throws money at the problem as opposed to volunteer. I'm like, let's get something very straight. See, about this is what I don't like about people who are super activists, right? They think that their cause should be your cause, and that you should be doing the same amount, you should be feeling the exact same amount of way that they feel about something. Let's be very clear about something. Since you've been coming at her with this, let's be honest, bitch like energy, she didn't have to give you a goddamn dime. You should be lucky that she actually donated to you. But instead, she wants to sit there and be extra about that and start mocking her for it. Like, bro, she doesn't have to do what you say just because you feel passionate about that. I don't know. Emma's a character that is very hard to sit there and like at times. And I think that they're kind of playing it up a little bit as far as the next generation of rivalries. Because, you had back in the day, you had Carly, you have Robin, and she is coming off as a knockoff young Robin. And of course, we know Jocelyn is mini Carly. So I see why they're doing it that way. So, okay, fine. You got that going on. Oh, also, she can't sit there and talk about whatever the NDA is, but she did sit there and say that she was enrolling into some physics class or something like that. And turns out, when Vaughn gets there, meets up with Vaughn, her assignment is also to enroll in the same physics class. So, clearly, whatever issues that they have, it's just going to continue from there. Now, let's talk about Drew and Wiley. Drew and Willow. Kids moved in, and while the kids moved in, the movers go to the Quartermain's house. Tracy acts like her usual annoying self. Um, as far as not letting Willow, get her stuff or whatever. I'm like, okay, I guess she'll just go there and get it herself. So she moves in and everything like that. Nina comes over. And one of the things that Nina Smith is saying is, and she said this to Drew, and it was really out of pocket. She was like, you don't want to sit there and she said you don't want to cut off ties with Monica, the Drew. And I'm kind of just like, well, that's out of pocket. Because Monica clearly had no problem cutting ties with Drew, seeing how she kicked Drew out. So, one, it's not really your business if we're going to be honest. And two, she had no problem sitting there doing that. So, like, why shouldn't he sit there and cut ties with her in a sense? The one thing that Drew did say that was a little out of pocket was, because she was sitting there trying to urge, like, Willow, I guess, maybe to move back in or whatever. Or at the very least, because I really sat there, was like, when she was talking about, oh, are you sure you want to move out, and da 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 da, I'm like, they can come over and visit their grandmother anytime that they want. You acting like they moved across the goddamn country. They can go there and see their grandmother whenever they want. So nothing really has to change in that sense. But for some odd reason, Drew decided to sit there and kind of stick his nose in a business that don't belong to him, so they're saying, "Well, do you think it's a good idea? You don't want to sit there and confuse the kids." I'm like, "What? What are you doing, bro? Those are hers and Michael's kids. If she wants to sit there and visit or whatever, and visit Monica, then that really shouldn't be a problem. Why are you putting your 2 cents into something that one doesn't have anything to do with you, and two will be harmless?" So I didn't really understand why Drew said that. But there's a point where Carly and Jack are talking and everything, and after they finish catching up or whatever, I refer to him as Jack the Jackass. Jack the Jackass decides it's a good idea because Tracy walked over and Tracy was like, "Oh, just like Willow moved in with Willow and the kids moved in with Drew." So she's all fired up and everything like that. She's like, "Oh, I should go over there and tell him, give him a piece of my mind." I was like, "You really shouldn't. You really shouldn't be doing that. You simply shouldn't." Yes, those are Michael's kids, but Michael is out of commission right now. So right now, those are Willow's kids. Willow can do whatever the hell she wants and move wherever she wants with her kids. Your feelings don't matter at this point. Michael's feelings matter, and when he gets better, then yeah, he'll sit there and fight and do all that. But until then, mind the business that pays you. How about you make sure nobody else gets knocked out of a goddamn window? How about you do that? But for some odd reason, Jack is like, "Oh, I think you should," and starts really encouraging her to go there and start throwing her weight around and all this other stuff. So of course, Carly decides to do that. Showed up, unannounced. No phone calls, no texts, just shows up. Like, okay, I see you about to sit there and make an ass out of yourself. So that's good. Um, Now Jordan tells Laura about the job offer that Sitwell gave. Now she didn't want to. She said no, but she feels like she got him right where she wants. But she can't just sit there and say yes. So the plan is for her to sit there and get fired. She gets fired, then she could sit there and work with Sitwell. But she has to make it believable. So the one thing you do sit there and talk about is Sonny's relationship with Laura, and just kind of making it more public or whatever, and just maybe that's the reason why she got fired or whatever, because their disagreement, which is not that far from the truth, because she doesn't like Laura's relationship with Sonny. And then Laura gives Sonny a heads up as far as like a political storm is going to be brewing and you're going to be involved. Now, before she got there, Natalia was there. And he pretty much sits there and says, "What is your relationship with Sitwa. She tells him, I'm his ex wife. And he's pissed. He's like, how come you didn't sit there and tell me? Now, she makes up excuses of why, and she tells him, well, we're not together anymore. We hate each other. And we're only there because of our son. So apparently, Blaze's dad is somebody else's. Um, but that level of betrayal, he's like, listen, we can't be friends anymore. What I'm saying, like, I'm going to be going through a very difficult time. I need my inner circle to be my inner circle, and you can't be a part of that. So she walks off, she's crying, everything like that, and she leaves. And it just makes me think at this point. See, up until a point, I've been sitting there trying to find reasons and justifications of why Natalia needs to stay. And I know right now it could be for her other son. But I feel like there's just times where it's like she always gets a certain lifeline. Like Blaze leaves, she's still there. Oh, is she going to be doing something with Sonny? Well, that didn't happen. But she does have another lifeline, Marco, which is her son. So she could sit there and stay for her son. But it's just one of those things where it's like, can you get her involved? And like, I mean, hopefully it will be since you got Sitwell. So maybe this would be a really good story for her. Um, let's talk about Lucy for a minute. Lucy, let me tell you something about Lucy. Lucy would sit there and sell her goddamn soul for someone, right? So, about to start the meeting, they're just waiting for Tracy. Um, After talking to Jason, she goes to the meeting, and Maxie's like, I don't know about this deal, and Lucy's kind of giving her eyes like, don't rock the boat kind of eye. Tracy gets there, and Tracy's like, yeah, I didn't sign that, so I don't know about this deal. I mean, did you not sit there and hear what Lulu said as far as what this man did with her brother capturing and everything like that? Lucy says? He's a Spencer. He's used to being kidnapped. Hell, I would sit there and say it's his fault. And I'm like, wow, Lucy, you're kind of trash. She does sit there and make it seem like, oh, well, you're just doing this to spite me. You're trying to sit there and take my company. She's still sitting there calling this my company. And I think at this point, Max, she's just like, you know what? I'm not even going to bother to try to correct you. But Max, he also signs off into saying, well, we all have done criminal things or whatever. Right? So I'm kind of just like, and Tracy looks at that like, Tracy's like, so you sure you want to do this, Maxine? Because she already given up all hope on Lucy. But she's with Max, she's like, you sure you want to do this? Maxie, I think at this point, Maxie needs this. Maxie needs this. But I don't know. Like, in some ways, I'm kind of feeling like she's just as bad as Lucy. She's just not more. She's not acting like a dingbat. She's not being super annoying. But it's like, you know that you are working with a known criminal, right? Lulu's supposed to be your best friend. Lulu Smith is telling you, this dude kidnapped my brother. You know that Lulu does not make the stuff up. You know Lucky, and yet you're still willing to work with him. So it's very hard for me to sit there and give her a pass, even though I know she's doing it for her kids and stability and the company and everything like that. You're still looking the other way. You're actually, tell you the truth, you're kind of just as bad as Lucy, in a sense. But they all sign, and Tracy signs, and they can do their business and everything like that. So whatever. Um, Jason at one point was going to sit there and talk. Well, Jason was going to go there and practically demand Willow not move in. I'm like, Jason, you done lost your goddamn mind. First of all, bro, who the hell do you think you are to sit there and tell another grown ass woman that she can't move somewhere with her goddamn kids? Those aren't your kids. Those are not your goddamn kids. So you're just going to make a fool out of yourself. So I'm like, you need to really sit there and slow your goddamn roll. How about you sit there and take care of your own kids? When's the last time you sat there and played stickball with Danny? Why don't you do that? Shoot some hoops or something. Maybe you should sit there and concentrate on that. But of course, Sasha tells him all the reasons not to do this, and long story short, you're just gonna make Drew look like the good guy. And of course, she started judging Willow, and I kind of just like, okay. But the point is, if he went over there, he just would have put them close together. So Jason decided to back off. And of course, Sasha's like, oh, I'm still gonna move out once the baby's getting born, and I'm like, okay, Sasha, whatever. I can't with you at this point. I really can't. Um, yeah, I think that's about it. I tried to watch the last few minutes of the episode, but of course, it got a news interruption, and every video that I saw, it all ended off with Carly just going in the house. So if I know at one point she does look like she's about to raise her hands and start putting her hands on Willow, which is assault, by the way, in case people are just very curious about that. Which is also out of pocket too. Like, but I feel like that's about it. Now there might have been some stuff here or there that I missed. Who the hell knows at this point? But if it is, write in the comment section below. We'll talk about it tonight. It's funny. I have Hulu, and it supposedly comes on at 8 o'clock, which is, of course, the same time that I do my live stream. So, who knows? If it does happen, we'll talk about it. If it doesn't happen, we'll talk about it the next day. But that is the general gist of the episode. Now, of course, if I missed anything, write in the comment section below. Come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Excuse me. And we'll talk about all the shows. You know what they are. And I will see you in the next video.